There's an 800-year-old Japanese technique that can erase your anxiety in 90 days, but it comes at a price. You'll have to fall, fail, get up, fall again and again. The least anxious people usually have one thing in common: these people don't avoid discomfort. Sometimes they walk straight into it, while many spend years trying to control their anxiety, avoiding social situations, avoiding confrontations, postponing difficult conversations. These people do the exact opposite, and the more they do it, the stronger they become. There are four ancient concepts that emerged 800 years ago that can help you overcome anxiety and create unwavering inner strength. It's not about positive affirmations. These concepts, when combined, create a very powerful system. The first concept is called Nanakorobi Yaoki: fall 7 times, get up 8. And when you combine that with Fudōshin, with an unwavering mind, you stop being controlled by anxiety and begin to control your actions despite it. But this method goes against everything modern self-help has taught you, because it's not about feeling confident, it's about acting without any confidence at all. Before I show you how all this works in practice, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like below, and tell me in the comments what situation causes you the most anxiety. Meetings, difficult conversations, meeting new people. Tell me below. Back to the video. Chapter 1: The Invisible Prison. To begin, I'll tell you the story of a guy named Austin. Austin was 28 years old when he realized that anxiety had built a prison around his life, and worse, he himself had helped build every bar of that cage. He worked as a freelance graphic designer, was talented and earned well. But he had a problem he hid from everyone. He couldn't deal with people calls with clients. His heart would race even before dialing in-person meetings. He'd invent any excuse to do them via video, and video meetings he'd arrive 10 minutes late on purpose so he could join when everyone was already there, and nobody noticed him. Worse than that, Austin started turning down good projects because they required presentations. He stopped going to networking events. He stopped participating in designer groups because having to talk about his own work was unbearable. The anxiety didn't manifest as a dramatic panic attack. It was just that constant feeling of tightness in the chest, that mental exhaustion from constantly avoiding things, until the day a major client messaged Austin: "We love your portfolio. We want you to lead the redesign of our brand, but you need to present it to the board on Thursday. Is that okay?" Austin looked at the message. It was his dream project, dream pay, and he knew exactly what he was going to reply. But before he could type his usual excuse, a friend of his, Carol, who knew about his problem, said, "You're going to refuse again, right, Carol? I can't. You don't understand what it's like to stand in front of 6 people judging you." Carol replied, "So you're going to spend your whole life in hiding? How much longer can you stand living like this?" The question hit the nail on the head. Austin looked at the calendar. How many opportunities had he already turned down this year? 5, 10. He couldn't even remember anymore. "Carol, I've tried to deal with this several times and it never works. The anxiety always comes back," Carol replied. "Because you try to do everything at once. You try to take a leap when you should be learning how to fall like this. You know that Japanese saying, fall 7 times, stand up 8. You keep waiting to have the courage not to fall. But what if the secret is learning to fall without getting hurt?" Austin didn't understand anything, but something about that sentence resonated with him. That night he researched that saying, Nanakorobi Yaoki: fall 7 times, get up 8, a samurai principle about resilience. While he was reading, he ended up finding another concept: Fudōshin, an unwavering mind. Not a mind without fear, but a mind that fear cannot move. And that's when he understood the mistake he had made his whole life. He was trying to eliminate his anxiety before acting, waiting for the day when he would finally feel confident. But the samurai did the opposite. They acted despite their fear, and through repetition they trained their bodies to function even when their minds screamed to stop. Austin replied to the client, "I can present it on Thursday." Chapter 2: The System of the Fall. Thursday arrived. Austin hadn't slept on Wednesday. His stomach had been churning all day. When he entered the meeting room, his hands were shaking so much he had to grip his laptop tightly to hide it. 6 people staring at him. Silence. He opened his mouth to speak. His voice faltered. He tried again. A whisper came out, "Good morning. I brought some ideas." 5 minutes later he was sweating profusely. 10 minutes later had forgotten half of what he wanted to say. 15 minutes later the CEO interrupted. Austin, I don't think it's at the level we need yet. Let's reassess. He left that room devastated. He called Carol. I failed completely. I froze in front of them. Excellent. What do you mean by great? You fell first time. 6 more to go. Carol, I'm not going to humiliate myself 6 more times. I don't understand. You spent 28 years avoiding falling, and you know what happened. You never learned how to get up. Everyone who's good at something has fallen 100 times before. You only fell once. Congratulations, you finally started. Austin wanted to hang up on her, but something about it made sense. He researched more about Nanakorobi Yaoki and he discovered something that changed everything. The concept wasn't about falling 7 times and then miraculously succeeding on the 8th. It was about training your nervous system not to collapse every time you fall. Every fall is a training session. Every time you get up, your brain learns. We survived. It wasn't the end of the world. A neuroscientist at Stanford University who has studied anxiety for 15 years explains. The amygdala learns through repeated experiences. When you avoid an anxiety-provoking situation, you reinforce the fear circuit. When you confront and survive it, you build neurological evidence of safety. It takes multiple exposures for the brain to recalibrate. Austin decided to conduct an experiment. If he needed to fall 7 times, he would fall on purpose. Small falls, controllable falls. He made a list, scheduled drops, calling 3 clients and having 5-minute conversations even while trembling. Participate in 1 meeting per week and speak at least once. Posting a video on Instagram talking about design even with a trembling voice. Going to a networking event and talking to 2 people. Give 1 short presentation 10 minutes to a small group. Leading an entire project meeting representing it to the client who had previously rejected it. Each item on the list was a programmed fall. He could fail at all of them. He could freeze, he could stutter or break out in a cold sweat. But he would get up from each one. First week he called 3 clients. In all 3 calls his voice trembled. In one he had to apologize and ask for 10 seconds to breathe. It was awful. But he finished. Second week team meeting, he forced himself to speak. I think we could use blue instead of green. Thin voice, sweaty palms. But he spoke. Third week he posted the video. He recorded it 15 times until he got one that wasn't completely pathetic even, so you could see he was nervous. He posted it anyway, and he continued on this journey. Chapter 3, A Beginner's Mind. The 4th week arrived. Austin laughed for the first time that night. That's brilliant. They talked for 15 minutes, then she introduced him to someone else. Austin asked a question. The person spoke for 10 minutes. He just listened. By the end of the night he had spoken to 4 people. It hadn't been brilliant. He hadn't impressed anyone, but he had fallen and gotten back up, and that's when Carol explained the 3rd concept to him, Shoshin, a beginner's mind. Austin, do you know why you freeze up so much? Because you think you should already be good at this. You're 28 years old. You should know how to talk to people. You should be confident. You're judging your performance before you've even started. And how do I stop doing this? You assume you're a beginner. Seriously, not as an excuse but as a fact. You've never practiced this. You're literally a beginner in social situations, and beginners are bad. That's normal. It was as if a ton of weight had been lifted off his shoulders. He was demanding of himself to be level 10 when he was level 1, and nobody is born at level 10, and this applies to everything in your life. Don't demand of yourself to be the best at something. You're just starting. In the world we live in today, where we constantly compare ourselves to people on social media, it seems we're always behind. We compare our bodies to those of a bodybuilder who's been training for years. We compare our professional success to that of an entrepreneur who's been in business for over 15 years and has already gone bankrupt more than 10 times. We compare our social skills to those of people who have already experienced embarrassing moments. We are very good at comparing ourselves, but we need to be even better at admitting that we are bad, but that we are in the process of improving, constantly learning. Chapter for the unwavering mind. 5th week. 10-minute presentation to a small group. He warned beforehand, guys, I'm terrible at presenting. Can you bear with me? He began to present. His voice trembled on the first slide. On the third slide he forgot what he was going to say. He stopped, he breathed. Sorry, I lost my train of thought getting back to it. It ended in 12 minutes. It wasn't pretty, but it ended. One person commented, "Man, I thought it was brave of you to admit you were nervous." That made me more comfortable too. Austin realized something. Vulnerability wasn't weakness, it was honesty. 6th week he led an entire meeting. He prepared everything, wrote an agenda, but in the middle of the meeting a client started criticizing the project. Austin felt his blood run cold. The old Austin would have agreed to everything just to avoid conflict, but he remembered Fudōshin, an unwavering mind. It doesn't mean you don't feel fear, it means that fear doesn't control your actions. He took a breath. He felt the anxiety rising in his chest and he spoke anyway. "I understand your concern, but let me show you why we chose this direction." His voice trembled, his hands sweated, but he maintained his composure. The client listened. In the end he accepted. When the meeting ended, Austin spent about 5 minutes just breathing. It hadn't been easy, but it had been possible, and that's when he understood the secret that nobody tells you about courage. You'll never stop feeling afraid, never. The anxiety will always be there, always. Some people ask, how do I stop feeling afraid? How do I find courage? But the only truth is that fear will always be there. You need to overcome it. There is a huge difference between feeling anxiety and obeying anxiety. Chapter 5: The Spirit That Perseveres. The 8th week arrived. Austin had already fallen 6 times. Each fall had been painful, each getting up had been difficult, but he was still standing. He scheduled another meeting with the client who had rejected him. Direct email: "I know you didn't like the presentation. I'd like a second chance." The CEO replied, "Austin, we don't want to waste your time." He insisted, 15 minutes. "If you don't like it, he'll never speak to you again." The CEO agreed. The day of the presentation arrived. Austin woke up at 5 a.m. with a knot in his stomach. His anxiety was screaming, "You're going to fail again. You're going to embarrass yourself. Cancel it now." But he had learned the 4th concept, Gambaru, the spirit that perseveres. Gambaru, it's not motivation, it's not inspiration. It's the decision to keep going when everything inside you is telling you to stop. Samurai didn't wait to be inspired to train. They trained mainly when they didn't want to train, because that's what separates warriors from ordinary people. Austin entered the room, the same 6 people, but he wasn't the same anymore. He began to present. On the 3rd slide his voice trembled. He stopped, he looked at the CEO. "Sorry, I'm nervous, but let me continue." Nobody laughed, nobody judged. He continued. 10th slide he forgot some information. He took a breath. "I don't remember the exact number right now, but the main idea is," he continued. "It ended in 20 minutes. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest, it was true." The CEO remained silent for about 10 seconds, which felt like 10 hours. "Austin, last time you tried to be someone you're not. Today you were yourself, and that's the kind of person we want on the team. Let's start Monday." Chapter 6: The Transformation. 3 months later Austin was leading weekly meetings with that client. He still got nervous, he still broke out in a cold sweat sometimes, but anxiety no longer had veto power. He had understood the truth about Fudōshin. It's not about having a fearless mind, it's about having a mind that acts despite fear. He had learned Nanakorobi Yaoki: it doesn't matter how many times you fall. What matters is that you get up one more time. He had hugged her. Shoshin, being a beginner at something new is nothing to be ashamed of. It's the natural stage of growth, and he had developed Gambaru, the spirit of continuing when you have absolutely no desire to continue. A clinical psychologist specializing in anxiety disorders for 20 years explains the goal of exposure therapy is not to eliminate anxiety, it's to teach the patient that they can function even with anxiety present. When you stop fighting the emotion and start acting despite it, you break the cycle of avoidance that keeps the anxiety alive. Chapter 7: The Real Secret. Here's what Austin discovered that nobody talks about regarding anxiety. First, anxiety never completely disappears. You just build resilience muscles that are stronger than the anxiety. Second, you don't need to feel confident to act confidently. Action comes first. Feeling comes later. Third, every time you fall and get back up, you're not just practicing social skills, you're training your nervous system not to panic. Fourth, beginner's mind is not an excuse for mediocrity, it's permission to start without perfection. Fifth, Gambaru isn't about willpower, it's about commitment. You decide once and then execute 1,000 times without deciding again. Austin didn't become a charismatic speaker, he didn't become a natural networker. He still gets nervous, but now when anxiety arises he doesn't obey, he senses it, he recognizes it, he appreciates the alert system. And he acts anyway. Why? Fudōshin, it's not about not having emotions, it's about emotions not controlling actions. And you know what the craziest part is? 6 months later someone approached him after a meeting. Dude, how are you so calm? I get so anxious in those situations. Austin almost laughed because inside he was still anxious, but on the outside he was unwavering. And that's the difference between someone who avoids discomfort and someone who goes through it. Chapter 8, Daily Practice. But Austin didn't stop there. Because he had understood something crucial. Fudōshin, it's not a destination, it's a daily practice. He created what he called unshakable mind training. Every day for 10 minutes in the morning he did 3 things. First, he identified a small uncomfortable situation he was going to face that day. It didn't have to be huge, it could be sending a message he'd been putting off, making a call he was too lazy to make, starting a conversation with someone in the elevator. Second, he could see the anxiety creeping in, he could feel it in his body, tightness in his chest, rapid breathing, sweaty palms. But instead of fighting it, he just observed the anxiety is here. Okay, so what? Third, she decided on the action she was going to take despite the anxiety. Not if I feel confident, not if I feel better, just I'm going to do it at 2 p.m. period. This 10-minute ritual changed everything. Why? Because he stopped waiting for courage to appear, he scheduled the action before the courage arrived. One day a friend of his asked, but Austin, don't you ever get tired of pushing yourself so hard all the time? It's funny you say that. Before, I force myself every day to avoid things. Making excuses takes a lot of energy. Now I spend my energy taking action. Is it tiring? Yes. But it's the kind of tiredness that makes you go to sleep proud. Chapter 9, The Cascade Effect. 3 things started happening that Austin didn't expect. First, his social anxiety decreased, but other fears also began to subside. He was afraid to drive in new places. He started driving even though he was afraid. He was afraid to travel alone. He bought a ticket and went as if the muscle of Gambaru that he developed would work for any fear. Second, people started asking him for advice. Colleagues who knew his story would ask, how did you become so firm? And he always answered the same thing, I didn't become firm. I just stopped letting firmness be a requirement for action. Third, he realized that his anxiety had transformed. Before it was a prison, now it was a signal. When anxiety appeared, he knew, this is important, this is why I'm nervous. Anxiety ceased to be an enemy and became a compass. A contemporary Zen master who teaches meditation explains, in Zen we don't say conquer your fears, we say sit with your fears. When you stop running, when you simply observe the sensation without judgment, fear loses the power to move you, not because the fear has disappeared, but because you have developed roots deeper than those of fear. Chapter 10, The 8th Raised. 6 months after his first disastrous presentation, Austin was giving a talk at a design event. 200 people in the audience. That would have been unimaginable for the Austin of 7 or 8 months ago. Backstage, 10 minutes before going on stage, the anxiety hit me hard. My heart was racing. My hands were trembling, my mind was screaming, you're going to forget everything, you're going to freeze, 200 people are going to see you fail. He breathed. He felt the anxiety, he didn't fight, he just watched. Here she is again, an old acquaintance, and then he remembered. Nanakorobi Yaoki falls 7 times, get up 8. He had already stumbled during his first disastrous presentation in the meeting where he froze. At the networking event where he was speechless for 10 minutes, on phone calls where his voice disappeared, in conversations where he stuttered. I had gotten up from all of them, this one would be no different. He went up on stage, he took a breath, he looked at the 200 people. Before I begin, I need to admit one thing, I'm incredibly nervous right now. Some people laughed, others nodded, and that's okay, because being nervous just means that this matters to me. He started presenting on the 5th slide, forgot a point, paused, I forgot what I was going to say, but he'll continue from here. Nobody cared. On the 15th slide his voice trembled. He didn't try to hide it, he just continued. It ended in 35 minutes. It wasn't the most polished presentation in the world, but it was genuine. People applauded, and then 3 people approached him. One of them, a young man of about 25, said, "Dude, thanks for admitting you were nervous. I gave up presenting because of that. I thought I was the only one who felt that way." Austin looked at him. He saw himself 6 months ago. "You feel it, I feel it, everyone feels it. The difference is who acts despite feeling it." Chapter 11, The True Meaning. That night, Austin wrote in his diary, "I discovered that Fudōshin doesn't mean an unshakable mind, it means a mind that is shaken but doesn't break." Nanakorobi Yaoki isn't about falling and eventually stopping falling. It's about turning falling into training. Shoshin isn't about being humble, it's about having the courage to be bad until you become good. Gambaru isn't about never giving up on anything, it's about choosing what is worth not giving up on and then persevering with it until the end. The anxiety hasn't gone away, but it no longer controls me, and that is freedom. Austin now leads workshops on presentation skills. The irony of fate, but he always starts by saying, "I'm not going to teach you how not to be nervous, I'm going to teach you how to present while being nervous." And do you know what technique he teaches? The technique of the 7 falls. He gives them an assignment over the next 4 weeks. I want you to give 7 short presentations, and I want you to fail at least 3 of them on purpose. People think has gone crazy, but he explains, you're afraid of failing. So I'm going to take the suspense away. You will fail, not maybe, definitely. And when you fail the first time and realize the world hasn't ended, fear loses its power, because this is the secret that the ancients knew 800 years ago and that modern self-help has forgotten. You don't eliminate fear by practicing success, you eliminate fear by practicing falling. When you fall on purpose, control the fall and get up on your own. You're training the only muscle that matters, resilience. And resilience isn't about not falling, it's about getting up more often than you fall. Austin's anxiety still shows up, but now when it arrives he smiles, because you know that anxiety is just a sign that he's about to grow up, and growth always comes with discomfort, always. So here's the question: how many more years are you going to spend waiting to feel ready, or are you going to do like Austin? Like the samurai, like everyone else who has ever turned fear into strength, you're going to fall maybe more than 7 times. But you need to get up as many times as necessary. Why Fudōshin? It's not about never falling, it's about having roots so deep that no fall can knock you off the ground. If this video changed anything in your thinking about anxiety and courage, I invite you again to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell if you want to stay updated on future content, and tell me in the comments, what will be your first scheduled hair loss? What discomfort will you face this week? Remember, courage doesn't come before the action, courage comes during the action. You already have everything you need, you just need to fall once to discover that you can get back up. Thank you for watching until the end, and when anxiety comes, smile, it's just a sign that you're about to get stronger. Until the next video.